What the hell is up, everybody? Louis back here again for UFC 283 in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Bangers all over the place. The main event, light heavyweight 205. For the vacant strap, you got Glover Teixeira taking on Jamal Sweet Dreams Hill. And then at 125 pounds men's flyweight, you got the fourth fight. Brandon, the Assassin Baby Moreno, taking on Davison, the God of War Moreno. And then at 170, you got Gilbert Burns taking on Neil Magny. See how 170 shakes up. And you got Mauricio Shogun, who is retirement fight. You also got Terrence McKinney on there. I mean, do I need to say anything else? You got Jessica Andrade on there taking on Lauren Murphy. And you got Paul Bear Drew Craig taking on Johnny Walker. I hope you like violence. Quick recap, last weekend, I did really well. Only got 2 wrong. Made a small profit, so I'm looking to roll that into this week. We got 15 fights. Let's just get right into it here. First fight of the night, the curtain jerk at 135 pounds, men's bantamweight. You got Samoan Oliveira taking on Daniel Marcos. Daniel Marcos coming off the Contender Series. Oliveira took on Tony Gravely, his last fight. Tony Gravely, tough gatekeeper to the ranked guys. In the first round, he lands a jump knee. And then with the wizard, but then he pulls the guillotine, but then he eats some ground and pound because Tony Gravely is a good wrestler. Second round, he walks into a double, but he press some straight shots, but then he gets taken down off of a jump knee. Bad move. Well, but then he stands up and lands some elbows inside the clinch, so he ended the round strongly. Third round, he lands a flying knee, but then he gets, and then he, in a blitz, but then he gets doubled off of there. He's getting too overzealous. Tony Gravely, a great wrestler, probably a better wrestler than Daniel Marcos. But then he lands a knee and some 1-2s in the pocket, but then he eats uppercut in return, but not a bad scrap. And then Daniel Marcos took on Brandon Lewis, his last fight in the Contender Series. In the first round, he drops him like right away with the front face kick, pretty brutal. But then he backs out of range, he presses forward, and then he lands him jump knee, and then he gets doubled, but he gets right back up. Second round, he backed up out of the leg kicks, but then he lands some overhands wherever he pressed toward him. But then he rocks him with some leg kicks, and he's able to defend all the double leg attempts at the end of the round. Third round, he circles it backwards out of range, and they land some leg kicks and jabs, just kind of, sticking and moving, dancing around there. Daniel Marcos, plus 125. Samoan Oliveira, minus 145. I don't know. I don't really know either of these guys too well, to be honest. But don't really love guys coming off the Contender Series. I think it's a pretty even fight. I just like Samoan Oliveira, just because of the difference in skill level he's been fighting. Tony Gravely, tough guy. Hopefully you learn some things from there. But, both guys kind of have similar skill sets, it seems like. Daniel Marcos might try to go for a takedown. I think Oliveira might be able to stuff it. Lands some big shots. Who knows? I'm going to go Samoan Oliveira. I just kind of liked what I looked at when I watched the footage. Can't really explain it. Second fight of the night at 145 pounds, women's featherweight. You got Josiane Nunez taking on Sarah Fern dos Santos. Nunes took on Ramona Pascual, her last fight. In the first round, she drops her with the left cross off of a knee, like right away. She lands some overhands and a flurry on the fence, and she was ripping into the body, but then she gets doubled, get too overzealous there, but she did some nice damage. In the second round, she rocks her with multiple left crosses, stuffs the double leg attempt, but then she slides off the back, tries to take it, gets too overzealous, but then she gets doubled off of a leg kick. Then in the third round, she lands some 1-2s whenever she gets pressed, but then she stalks the cage, lands some more overhand lefts, and then she's able to stuff the double, landed a nice flurry. So she's starting to catch on with the defense. And then Zara dos Santos, this was a few years ago. She took on Felicia Spencer. In the first round, she presses forward with some jabs and some 1-2s, but she gets countered with some overhands. Then she gets taken down with a body lock trip, gets TKO'd with some ground and pound from full mount. Not pretty, not much to it. Zara plus 420. Josiane minus 540. I'm going to go with Zara here just because it's women's featherweight, low level. Josiane Nunez probably going to knock Zara out, but I'm not laying minus 540 on Josiane Nunez, so I'm going to go with Zara here just for the money. Plain and simple. Don't got to look too much into it. I probably wouldn't even bet that fight. Third fight of the night at 170 pounds, men's waterweight. You got Warley Alves taking on Nicholas Dalby. Alves took on Jeremiah Wells his last fight, but this was back in 2021, a little while ago. In the first round, he gets pushed down off of a kick immediately off the buzzer, but then he stalks forward and he backs out of the telegraph blitzes. You can see him come in and chooses not to get hit. Pretty smart. In the second round, he walks into some jabs and eats a 1-2, but then he gets dropped with the hook off of his leg kick and gets KO'd with some ground and pound. So, yeah. Not the best showing from him, but yeah, Nicholas Dalby, he took on Claudio Silva his last fight in the first round. He gets singled off the fence into full mount. Not a good look for him. But then in the second round, he lands some leg kicks, but then he gets doubled whenever he throws his hook. But he gives up his back into the figure four, but eventually on the transition, he waits for the perfect moment for some separation, turns into him, able to get top position, gets back on the feet, lands some short hooks and some knees inside the clinch. Then in the third round, he pancakes him into full guard, lands some nasty ground and pound, but then he misses the overhand and gets doubled at the end, but still did enough to get the victory there. Nicholas Dalby plus 105, Warlley Alves minus 125. Another close one here. I don't really know. I'm going to go with Nicholas Dalby, the slight underdog money, and Warlley Alves just got knocked out. Nicholas Dalby, not really a huge power puncher, but I think after the first round, Warlley Alves is going to come out guns blazing. I think Nicholas Dalby will be able to weather that. He might take some damage, but second and third round, he's going to start picking it up, start landing those hooks on the inside, start getting the clinch, land some knees. Plus, he's slight underdog. I'm going to go with Nicholas Dalby here. Fourth fight of the night, 155 pounds, men's lightweight. Grab your popcorn. 155 pounds, Ismail Bonfim taking on Terrence T-Rex McKinney. Bonfim, both the Bonfim brothers on this card coming off the Contender Series. He took on Nariman Abasov. In first round, he circles on the outside, lands some leg kicks, and then a left hook to the body. But then he rocks him with the left hook off of his body shot, drops him with the right, he steps in and then counters the hook off of his jab, but then he lands a right and a left hook to the body again, and then he lands a knee and then some left hooks up against the fence. Really starts getting in there, starts feeling himself, starts picking up the pace. Second round, he lands a step in, windmill overhand right off of his hook, and then he stuffs a double leg attempt on the fence, and McKinney can wrestle a little bit. And then in the third round, he kind of presses the jabs and he starts slipping the overhands and just kind of gets the decision, but, you know, still keeping the pressure, but wasn't going to be able to finish him. And then Terrence McKinney took on Eric Gonzalez his last fight, coming off the loss to Drew Dober. In the first round, he lands some uppercuts and left crosses at range. But then he lands some knees to the body inside the clinch. But then he eats a left hook off of his straight right. But then he shoots a blast double from the pocket, takes his back into a backpack position almost immediately. Both hooks in, rear naked choke submission. You know, just kind of scraps with him and baits him. False sense of security, shoots a blast double. Terrence McKinney can submit people. People forget that. Terrence McKinney minus 125. Ismail plus 105. The line's a little interesting here. Is Terrence McKinney a first-rounder bust fighter? I don't know. Maybe. Probably. I think he can go to the second round. I think he kind of learned from the Drew Dober fight. But, you know, Bonfim's good for work. Keeps distance well, so it should be interesting. But the line's pretty low. I'm just going to go with Terrence McKinney. I think he's coming off of some good momentum here. Ismail coming off of the Contender Series. Terrence McKinney fought really high-level guys. I think McKinney will be able to use his wrestling a little bit more, so I'm hoping he will. And if they get into a slugfest, I take Terrence McKinney. The whole fight to go over 1.5 plus 190. Not a bad shot on that one. All right. Fifth fight of the night, 135 pounds, men's bantamweight. Luan Lacerda taking on Cody Stamann. Cody Stamann trying to get 2 in a row here. Lacerda took on Marcely Alves de Silva his last fight. In the first round, he jabs at range, but he gets countered with some hooks. Then he circles out, but he's able to duck the hook, shoots a crackdown, secures it. Nice little shot there. The second round, he gets the heel hook off of a snatch single, and he's able to pass it over his body, and then he's able to take his back, get a rear naked choke submission. Really nice stuff. Really nasty on the ground. Really slick. I was really impressed watching that one, honestly. And then Cody Stamann took on Danny Weiland his last fight. Does not waste any time. And this dude needed a win. First round, drops him with a 1-2 off of his hook. Lands a flurry. Then he drops him again with a left uppercut. Gets a TKO with some hooks. Just smells blood. Does not stop swarming on him. And puts Eddie Wineland into retirement, unfortunately. Yeah, Eddie Wineland was chinny at this point, but still, Cody Stamann did what he had to do. And then before that, he took on Said Nurmagomedov his last fight. Not a good one for him. First round, he walks into a back fist and then a back kick, but then he gets the body lock off of his back fist, but then he gets submitted with a guillotine, drops down to the single, sticks his neck out there, and Said just locked that thing up. So, unfortunate, but still, Said's pretty good, just coming off another win, so. Cody Stamann minus 365, Luan Lacerda plus 300. Don't really like the line here. Kind of thought Cody Stamann was dropping off a little bit, but that fight against Eddie Wineland showed me that he's here to get some more wins and kind of be a gatekeeper type of guy for the lower level. So I'm on board with him. I don't like that price tag, but, you know, the one LACERDA, if it gets to the ground, it could be nasty. But I think Cody Stamann's striking is a lot better than the ones. He's going to be able to keep it on the feet if he wants to. And I think he learned from the side fight not to get caught in anything too crazy. Might get caught in a heel hook, but, you know, I think he has some decent ground and pound. I'm going to go with Cody Stamann here. A little pricey, but, you know, what are you going to do? The main event of the early prelims at 265 pounds men's heavyweight. You got a slobber knocker. You got Shamil Abdurakhimov taking on Jailton Almeida. Almeida just on a complete surge right now, looking to get another win here. Shamil took on Sergey Pavlovich's last fight. Just got murdered, okay? We don't need to go over that. But before that, he took on Chris Daukaus. In the first round, he circles back and he slips the overhands. He lands some jabs and then a step in overhand. Try to keep range, looks nice. But then he lands a jab and a left hook whenever he gets pressed. But then he gets dropped with the left hook when he's just kind of backing straight up. I don't know what that was about, but he kind of gets a little lazy, a little sloppy at times. Then in the second round, he gets pressed back and he looks for some overhands, but then he eats some combos from Chris, and then he gets KO'd with the right cross after he throws an overhand. So, yeah, I don't know. Looked okay. He was touching him up, but Daukaus was able to find that exact range where Shamil just like let his guard down and caught him on the way out. So it was pretty interesting. Jailton Almeida took on Anton Turkalj his last fight. This was at a catchweight at 220. Anton was like a short notice replacement. Doesn't matter. First round, he gets a double off the fence immediately into half guard. Hooks both of his legs with his legs, the Nurmagomedov special. And then he gets in a full mount. It takes his back, uses the arm, fakes like an arm triangle or uses it to maintain position. And then he unloads some nasty ground and pound on him. And then then Anton turns over and then he gets the rear naked choke submission. So he took his time there, slow and methodical, got to finish with 30 seconds left in the round. Didn't need to expend any unnecessary energy and didn't need to rush himself. So I really like seeing that. Jailton Almeida minus 1050 and Shamil Abdurakhimov plus 700. I'm going to go with Jailton here. Shamil is just passing at this point, coming off of two nasty knockouts. I think Jailton's just going to be able to take him down. Jailton might struggle a little bit more than usual, but I mean, he's just going to wear him down over time unless Shamil cracks him with something. But I just see Jailton being too fast, too explosive for him. Now, that line's ridiculous. I'm not going to bet him straight up. But Jailton by KO, plus 180, not bad. Submission was like still minus money, so KO is possible. KO, TKO, that's doable. I want to bang on that one, but the whole fight to go over 1.5 rounds, plus 275. This is a little bit of a step up in competition for Jailton. He fought a nobody his last fight, 30 seconds left in the first round. I could see it happening. Plus 275, I like that price tag, but my pick here is going to be Jailton. All right, the first fight on the regular prelims at 170 pounds, men's welterweight. You got Gabriel Bonfim, the brother, taking on Munir LAZZEZ. Should be a fun little scrap here. Bonfim coming off the Contender Series, took on Trey Waters. First round, he presses in the pocket, looks for left hook, swings a little bit wild, but then he lands an overhand right and a left hook inside the pocket, finally finds that range. He lands a 1-2 and with some overhands off of Waters' hooks, and then he shoots a blast double, gets the Von Flue submission because Waters holds on to the guillotine too long in side control. You know, rookie move, but took advantage of it. Like seeing that. Munir LAZZEZ took on Angie Losa his last fight. First round, he slips across, lands a nice elbow, and then he lands some uppercuts in the body and some jabs to the head. Gets a double to the fence, then he's able to transition into the clinch. Second round, just kind of jabs at range. He's jabbing and he's looking for some crosses off of his crosses, looking to counter, trying to pick his shots because Losa has some power. Third round, he rushed in, but he eats a cross, but then he lands some jabs at range, but then he eats some counter crosses, coming in a little too much, and he kind of backs out, tries to find his range again, but then he eats a left cross in a fire fight, but then he's able to land a wild hook, just kind of chucking him, but then he lands a straight right and some hooks in a combination. Toward the end there, just kind of piecing him up, moving in and out, didn't want to fuck with his power. Munir LAZZEZ, plus 140, Gabriel Bonfim, minus 165. Honestly, I don't got a great read on this one, but Gabriel Bonfim doesn't go to decision a ton. Coming off the Contender Series as a favorite. Munir LAZZEZ fighting better competition. Angelusa, that guy's got some power. I'm going to go with Munir LAZZEZ here, slight underdog. Let's get Gabriel. I think you can get him out of the first round. Not saying Gabriel is a first-round fighter, but is he going to get that double in Von Flue on Munir? I don't think so. I think Munir's going to be able to find his range. going to be able to land some hooks, maybe slow him down with some wrestling and some doubles against the fence. So, you know, Gabriel swings a little wild, so I'm going to go with Munir here, slight underdog, who knows, you know, flip a coin on this one, I guess. Second fight on the prelims at 155 pounds, men's lightweight. You got Thiago Moises making his return, taking on UFC newcomer Mel Costa. Hope I said that right. Moises took on Christos Giagos his last fight, coming off of a vicious knockout. But in the first round, he gets a clinch to the fence off of his leg kick, and then he runs the pipe, finishes the single leg, takes his back into a backpack almost immediately, gets the body triangle, rear naked choke submission. You know, just moi. Big win coming off of the knockout against Joe Alvarez. Alvarez missed weight for that fight and just looked a weight class above him, so really needed that one. Getting back on track, and of course before that he took on Islam Makhachev. And Malkozal took on Jose Clayton de Mello Jr. his last fight outside the promotion and LFA. In the first round, he presses with some jabs, lands a 1-2, and then a knee to the body. And then he drops him with the back kick to the body, so pretty dynamic right away. Then he lands some left hooks to the head, and then it lands a head kick. But then he gets caught in a jump guillotine when he's standing in like a scramble, but nothing happened. Second round, he gets clinched off of his overhand, but he's able to use the butterfly to sweep off of the single leg attempt. And then he's back on the feet, lands some back on the ground. He lands some elbows in half guard, lands some nice ground and pound, transition to full guard, and just really uses the position and, you know, does some damage there. He's a dynamic striker, but also can get nasty on the ground. I like seeing that out of him. Then in the third round, he lands a 1-2 off of his step in left to the body, and then he drops him with the left hook to the head. Jumps on him, gets a TKO, has the killer instinct. I like seeing that. I really like what I saw out of him, to be honest. Melkozal plus 300, Thiago Moises minus 365. The only problem is I just think Thiago Moises has a better back class. He's taking on better guys. He's taking on harder punchers. And I think he's going to be able to take Costa down and, you know, work his submissions. I think, you know, right away, it might take Thiago some time. I think Mel is going to be able to land some shots at range, maybe land some spinning attacks on him. But I think eventually Thiago is going to grab one of those legs and get him in a clinch, maybe a backpack situation. I don't like this line here really at all. And if Melkozal knocks him out, I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest with you. And, you know, Melkozal can scramble a decent amount, but I just like Moises here. Moises by sub, plus 175. Don't hate that one. And yeah, Moises kind of like the top 15-ish gatekeeper guy, so taking on a newcomer, and he's going to try to move up the rankings. I like Thiago here. All right. The co-main event of the regular prelims at 185 pounds, men's middleweight, Greg Robocop Rodriguez taking on UFC newcomer Bruno Ferreira, the Brazilian Hulk. I mean, come on, dude. This is violence on top of violence. Bruno stepping in on like a week's notice for Brad Tavares, I believe. So, tough spot for that kid. Greg Rodriguez took on Chidi Njokuani, though, his last fight. In the first round, he level changes into a massive knee where his face just literally breaks open. So, that happened right away, and he doesn't even feel it. So, that dude is a robot. Then he lands an overhand to the inside trip, but then he gets defended with the wizard, but at least he's able to go to his grappling whenever the striking's not going his way. But then he drops him with two step-in right hands, and then he lands some uppercuts and elbows inside the clinch. Second round, you could tell Njokuani's tired. Gregory is just coming on. First round, rips to the body and some elbows, and then he gets the underhook into a hip toss. And then he lands some ground and pound in half guard, and Chidi Njokuani had just had enough and isn't moving, and Robocop doesn't stop punching him, gets a TKO. Gutsy performance, gutted it out, had a huge gash in his forehead, and he got it done. So, and Njokuani hits hard. And then Bruno Ferreira, he took on Leon Aliu his last fight, I believe in LFA. In the first round, he lands some knees in the clinch. They're in a firefight. They both start swinging wild hooks. But then he's able to find separation off that firefight. Then he lands an overhand, and then a jab, and then an overhand right, which drops him. And then he's able to defend the single leg while the guy's like desperately grabbing on his leg. He just keeps punching him in the face and gets a knockout from there with some ground and pound. So, dude's strong. Dude's got power. But took a look at his record. He's a first or second round fighter type of guy. Gregor Rodriguez is, if he can get it finished, but he can go the full fight if he has to. He's done it multiple times, so Bruno plus 255. Gregory Rodriguez minus 305. This one's kind of worrying me a little bit just because of how hard Bruno can hit. And Greg, he's very tough, but he doesn't have the best chin in the world. Like, he's been knocked out a couple times. And he did just get that huge gash in his forehead, so is that going to play a big factor? I don't know. I don't like this line straight up. But Bruno's come in off a week's notice, so I think they're just going to chuck him right away because he probably doesn't have that great of conditioning. And if you get into a firefight with Greg Rodriguez, can you win? Yeah. Are you going to? I don't know. I feel like Greg's going to expect that. I think he might be able to clinch him up and get a hip toss or something like that, like he did on Ninja Kwani. But, you know, probably one of these underdogs I don't pick is going to hit, but that's just how it goes. But I'm going to go with Greg here. I think he'll be able to hang in there. I think he'll be able to outpace Bruno, kind of like he did in Ninja Kwani. And the whole fight to go over 1.5 plus 160, maybe. I don't know. I just don't like betting chalk money on over-unders. So maybe that'll play, but I like Robocop here. The main event of the prelims, 205 pounds, men's light heavyweight, Mauricio Shogun Rua taking on Ihor Potieria. Mauricio's retirement fight, long overdue. Legend of the sport. He was around before I started watching it religiously, but yeah, just a little overdue. Glad he's retiring. Should be a fun fight to go out on. He's got a decent shot at winning, and it's in Brazil. So let's have some fun with this one. Mauricio took on OSP his last fight. In the first round, he eats a front body kick at range, multiple at range, but then he presses with some overhands. They're a little too short, though. Can't find his range. Second round, he lands a right kick to the body and transition to a right cross nicely. But then he stalks, lands some leg kicks, but then he eats some kicks to the body in return from OSP. Just can't get the range on OSP. OSP able to keep him at range. Then in the third round, he eats some front kicks, and he looks for some hooks on the inside whenever he gets pressed, but then he eats some straights when he's coming in, and then he just kind of starts backing up. Not a ton happened. Neither fighter looked great. It is what it is. Ihor Potieria took on Nikolai Negumereano's last fight. This was a slobber knocker. In the first round, he gets clenched to the fence and taken out with a single. Eats some ground and pound in full guard. Yeah, just kind of got ran over that first round. Then in the second round, he lands a step-in right hook inside the pocket. Then he lands a jab and a left hook off of Nikolai's cross. But then he eats a 1-2 at range off of his hook. But then he eats a short right in the pocket. But then he gets pulled into the tie clinch, eats some nasty knees. He gets rocked from that, and then he eats a right hook and a knee flurry, and just kind of gets TKO'd. Just gets TKO'd. Just eats a lot of shots all at once. Yeah, didn't really look good, honestly. Neither guy looked great in their last fight. Ihor Potieria minus 205. Mauricio Shogun Rua plus 175. I'm going to go with Ihor here. It's Mauricio's retirement fight. He's already announced it. I don't like that. And he's old, okay, 40-something, taking a ton of damage, a lot of fight miles on him. Ihor, not a good fighter, but Ihor has power. I think he can clip Shogun with one shot and really change the trajectory of the whole fight. I'm not going to think too much about this. You know, maybe the MMA gods will bless Mauricio with a win here, and that'll be cool, but we saw what happened with Frankie Edgar and Chris Gutierrez. It was his retirement fight. I'm going to go with Ihor here, but, you know, I hope Shogun does win. I hope he proves me wrong. All right, finally on to the main card of the pay-per-view, 205 pounds, men's light heavyweight. You got Paul Berju-Krieg taking on Johnny the Worm Walker. This one is very interesting. It's either going to be very violent, or it's going to be very boring and very weird, or it could be very weird and very violent. But, you know, I want to see it here. Both guys trying to work their way back up into the ranks. You know, Paul Craig really wants a win here. If he does, he might be in that title conversation. He has a win over Jamal Hill. And Johnny Walker, people thought he was going to beat John Jones one day. Went on a losing skid. Just had a great win over Ian Kutalaba. So, if he gets an impressive win over Paul Craig, the guy who beat Jamal Hill, you know, who knows? So, kind of a low-key important fight here at light heavyweight. Paul Craig took on Volkan no time Uzdemir's last fight. In the first round, he pulls guard with the heel hook attempt. Kind of almost close, but not really. But then he gets pancaked and he eats some ground and pound of full guard. And then he just kind of flops to his back and eats a left and a right. After he eats a left and a right hook, and he just kind of goes down. Was he that hurt? I don't think so, but he kind of goes down anyway. Not a good look for the judges. But then on the feet, he lands a left hook and a head kick at the end there. Starts throwing some striking chops. In the second round, he gets a double jab, lands a right cross. But then he shoots a lazy double, and then he gets just pushed over in a full mount. You know, I don't know what he was doing there. Kind of tries to pull guard, but then he eats some jabs and the short right hooks in the pocket. Then he kind of flops down again. Third round, he gets rocked with a short uppercut inside the clinch, and then he shoots a blast single, but then he eats some ground and pound. So I don't know. Just kind of shoots a single, falls over, eats ground and pound, dude. You know, Vulcan was like hip to it. I mean, Paul kind of showed some decent striking at the end of the rounds, because Vulcan wasn't expecting it, but Johnny Walker took on Ian Cutelaba in his last fight. In the first round, his head kick gets caught and he gets taken down immediately in the full guard, but then he's able to lock his legs and buck him off whenever Ian's trying to pass him, and then he's able to sweep him, get on top. Really nice work from here. Johnny Walker underrated grappling. Then he gets his back standing, gets a mat return, and then he takes his back with the rear naked choke. And then he just kind of sticks with it, changes multiple grips. Ian's like rolling over and trying to get out of it, but Johnny Walker is hell bent on this rear naked choke. And he switches grips a couple times, finally gets the rear naked choke submission. Gets the full extension, gets his hips in, and you know, and Ian Cutelaba is bending like a pretzel there. So really good stuff from him. Johnny Walker minus 190, Paul Craig plus 160. I just don't know. This fight could go any number of ways. Johnny Walker could just knock Paul Craig out on the feet. Paul Craig could pull guard. He could pull Johnny Walker on top of him. Could catch him in an armbar or something. But Johnny Walker's decent on the ground. Not great. Maybe Johnny Walker drops Paul Craig and gets him a rear naked choke. Who knows? But Johnny Walker superior to Paul Craig on the feet. Paul Craig superior to Johnny Walker on the ground. So, I just don't know. I know one thing, though. Paul Craig at plus money, decent bet. I'm kind of thinking Johnny Walker's going to win here. I think he's going to get the better of him on the striking. But we've seen how tentative he was in his, against Thiago Santos, and then even against Jamal Hill, just not willing to come forward as much. Paul Craig might kind of take it to him. Might make Johnny Walker overextend himself, throwing an overhand or something, and take his back and pull him down. Who knows? It's a weird fight. I'm going to go with Paul Craig here just because he's the underdog. This fight should be even, but, you know, whatever. We'll go with Paul Craig. Who knows? Second fight of the main card at 125 pounds. Women's flyweight. Lauren Murphy taking on Jessica Andrade. Fun one. Jessica Andrade coming up from 115. She's kind of bounces back and forth, I guess. Lauren Murphy coming off a huge victory against Miesha Tate her last fight. Miesha Tate moved up from 115. Actually, no, she dropped from 135, sorry. In the first round, she eats some jabs, but then she shoots a double to a clinch on the fence. She's able to defend the trip with the underhook, and then she pops right back up whenever she does hit the ground. Second round, she eats some straights in an exchange, but then she's landing some as well. Then she's able to get the blast double from space, creates some separation, but then she gets clinched to the fence, but then she uses her underhook, digs that thing to reverse the position, and show Miesha who's boss, basically. Then in the third round, she uses a wizard and she defends the doubles, and then she pops up and just kind of holds on. And, you know, Miesha just kind of going all out for the takedown, doesn't really do too much. And then Jessica Andrade, she took on Amanda Lemos her last fight. In the first round, she got pressured back with some feints, and she eats a right cross near the fence and some leg kicks whenever she's coming forward. Kind of look a little stuck in the mud right away, but then she's able to catch the kick. She eats a cross, but then she's able to get the standing arm triangle submission. So she'll take one to submit her. Just goes right to that standing arm triangle. It's a very low percentage move if it's even attempted, and she stuck with it and got it because she's a beast, and nobody was expecting it. So, yeah, Jessica Andrade is a ball of power. Jessica Andrade minus 490, Lauren Murphy plus 390. Higher level women's flyweight. You know what? I'm going to go with Lauren Murphy here. That line is way out of whack, very disrespectful. You know, Jessica Andrade, better striker, better grappler, but Lauren Murphy's tough. Jessica Andrade might unload everything, and Lauren Murphy might still be there. And Lauren Murphy might be able to get a takedown on Jessica Andrade and beat her up on the ground. Maybe Andrade gets tired. Who knows? But, yeah. You know, Lauren Murphy's going to be a lot bigger than Jessica Andrade, so that might come into play in rounds 2 and 3. But, yeah, I like that price tag. Lauren Murphy looked really good against Miesha Tate. So, I'm going to go with Lauren Murphy. Yeah, Lauren Murphy. Why not? Plus 390. The feature fight of the main card at 170 pounds, men's welterweight. You got Gilbert Durinho Burns taking on Neil, the Haitian sensation / the Gazelle Magny. Not the matchup we all wanted. We want to see Masvidal against Gilbert, but I'll take it, dude. Magny coming off a huge win against Daniel Rodriguez. Gilbert coming off of that all-time classic against Khamzat Chimaev. Both guys want to make one more run at the title. A win for each guy is going to be important here. Neil trying to reclimb the ranks, and Gilbert just trying to stay relevant. Should be fun, man. Gilbert Burns took on Khamzat Chimaev his last fight in April. In the first round, he defends a double on the fence with the Wizard, but then he gets drugged down eventually, but fights for his life. But then he pressures, circles, and eats some straights and hooks. But then he counters, and he lands some leg kicks and jabs, and he lands a check left hook. But then he gets dropped with a straight right toward the end of the round. Eats some ground and pound, but he's able to threaten the armbar and stay busy. And then he gets up and lands a jab off of his kick, lets him know he's still alive. Second round, he gets backed up, but he rocks him with a straight right in the pocket. And then he drops him with the check left, and he lands some uppercuts and straights and hooks. But then he eats some 1-2s, and he eats an uppercut. But then he dropped him with the check right hook on the inside. And it was a war. And, dude, just one perfectly timed hook dropped Khamzat Chimaev. So the monster, in the third round, he gets pressure with some straights, and he shoots a single, but he gets stuffed. But then he eats a flurry and just kind of shows up on the fence. I think that was the moment where he lost that round because he got a lot of he ate a lot of shots just shelling up. Not all of them got through, but still for the judges. But then he eats some straights, but then he creates space and lands some nice lunge overhands and just kind of goes after him and lands the big shots at the end of the fight. Close fight. He impressed the hell out of me for sure. And then Neil Magny took on Daniel Rodriguez his last fight. In the first round, he circles on the outside, and he pulls him into the clinch whenever Rodriguez blitzes him. But then he gets the clinch off the blitz, and he hits a pass by, and he takes his back standing, pulls him down, gets one hook in up against the fence, and stays busy. Classic Neil Magny. Short shots, nothing crazy. Last 30 seconds, gets around his back, wins the round. That's how he does it. Second round, he lands some head kicks in the pocket, then he eats some straights on the fence. Then he just kind of walks into more shots. But then he lands some teeps to the body, and then he blitzes whenever Rodriguez throws straights. But then he lunges in to the clinch. He hits another pass by, gets his back again at the end of the round, stealing rounds or at least trying to, coming very close to them. And then in the third round, he gets cut off on the fence, and he gets rocked with some left crosses, takes a bad, desperate double leg. Then he pulls guard. Not a good move, but D-Rod lets him up. So kind of got lucky on that one, but, back on the feet, he feints some hooks to a pass by, drags him down to the mat, puts one hook in, gets around his back, mat return, both hooks in, lands some ground and pound, and then he stands up, pulls the Darce choke all the way down to the mat, secures the Darce choke, gets a submission. When's the last time Neil Magny finished anybody? He knows D-Rod was tired, and he was going to let him sink in that choke, and he took it. Great performance from Magny, because he took a beating his last fight against Shavkat, so he needed that one. What a bounce back, dude. Neil Magny plus 370 and Gilbert Burns is minus 460. This line is so disrespectful against Neil Magny plus 370, dude. This is going to be a close war. If Gilbert doesn't knock him out in the first round, dude, this is going to be a close war. I think so. I think Magny's going to be able to land some shots. I think Gilbert might try to throw those lunge overhands or those hooks that he did on Khamzat, and Neil's not going to be there for them. Neil's going to be able to wrap him up and clinch him up. He's going to be able to stuff a couple of takedowns here. I think Neil's going to really shine in rounds 2 and 3. Gilbert does kind of get tired as the fight goes on, and that's what he does. He steals the last 30 seconds of close rounds, and he wins them. And I think he's going to be able to do a similar thing like he did to D-Rod. Of course, Gilbert's a way better wrestler, but, Neil's not a bad wrestler. So, plus 370. I'm going to go with Neil Magny here, dude. That's the only pick for me, so we'll see. But I'm excited for this fight. I hope, both guys, I'll be happy if either one wins. All right, co-main event of the evening at 125 pounds, men's flyweight. The fourth fight. I didn't necessarily ask for the fourth fight, but we've got it. I'm not really going to complain about it. You got the champion Davison, the God of War Figueiredo, taking on Brandon Assassin Baby Moreno. They traded the belt back and forth. This is the last one to close the series. Yeah, man. Don't really have too much analytics to go over. it's kind of a feel thing, man. Flip a coin. First fight was a draw. Second fight, Brandon Moreno ran him over. Rear naked choke submission. Third fight, razor close. Figgy dropped him a couple times. Gets the belt. Brandon Moreno takes a fight against Kai France. Getting beat up a little bit. Gets a knockout with a kick to the body. Kai France, really good. So, you know, you tell me. You know, just going to look at the last fight, the third fight, just some things I looked at real quick in the first round. Just Moreno was landing some straight shots off a leg kick, and he clinches, but then Figgy's able to reverse the clinch with the underhook, and he's able to pummel in really well. And then Moreno clips him with the head kick at range. He lands a right, and then he lands a right hook. Whenever he's eating a leg kick, he kind of stumbles forward, lands a nice right hook. But then he misses a 1-2, and then he gets his back taken by Figgy, so... And then, you know, later on, a couple rounds, Figgy would drop him at the end of the round. Moreno gave a round or two away. But, you know, I don't think a full-on analysis is in order. This is a coin flip. Brandon Moreno, minus 125. Davison, plus 105. I'm just going to go based on momentum and based on feel. Brandon has a win against Kai France. In that time, Davison has not fought in a year. The last person he fought was Brandon Moreno. Davison, 35 years old at flyweight. Getting 125 is never easy for him. This second fight, they think that's why he looks so bad. Bad weight cut. You know, that could be a factor. And, you know, I just kind of think it's Brandon's time. I think he's worked on some things. I think his striking is a little slicker. As long as he doesn't get dropped at the end of those rounds, he can do what he did in the third fight and win those rounds. So I'm going to go with Brandon Moreno here. Flyweight under 4.5 rounds, plus 115, not a bad one. Moreno's going to bring it home. All right, the main event of the evening. I hope you like violence. 205 pounds, men's light heavyweight for the vacant title. Glover Teixeira taking on Jamal Sweet Dreams Hill. The fight nobody thought they were going to get, but the fight that I'm not complaining about. Jan Blachowicz and Magomed Ankalaev, that fight ended in a draw, so they threw this fight together, and yeah, I'm happy about it. Let's just get into this one. This is going to be a barn burner. Glover Teixeira took on Yuri Prochazka his last fight in June for the title. Razor close fight. First round, he lands over into a single. Treetop picks it all the way up into full guard, ground and pound. Tries to get the back, but Yuri explodes off the fence. Who saw that coming? Back on the feet, he lands a jab in a right cross. Gets a single, transition to full mount, ground and pound. But he slides off the back, though. Eats some vicious ground and pound at the end of the round. Glover's IQ is not great this fight. But, yeah, he took some big shots. Then the second round, he presses with some overhands, trying to go for that snatch single, trying to go to the snatch. But then he eats a knee and then a flurry. But then he dives for the single and misses, gets a little desperate. But then he eats a hook flurry when he's kind of standing in the pocket. But then he drops him with a left hook off of Yuri's jump knee. And then he takes the back, then gets in a full mount, ground and pound, ends the round strongly, beats the shit out of them. They're beating the shit out of each other. Then in the third round, he eats some straights to a shot, but then he misses. But he can't hold him down from, not able to hold him down from side control. But then he misses the single and he eats a flurry to the body. But then he gets pancaked going for a sloppy shot. And then he eats some heavy ground and pound from Yuri. Yuri not as terrible on the ground as we thought he was going to be. Then in the fourth round, he eats some step-in crosses, but then he lands a left hook to the body, and then another one to that body, left hook to the head, which rocks him. Then he shoots a single, transitions into full mount, tries to go for the arm triangle, but then he gets reversed. But then on the ground, he's in deep half, and he's able to take his back and just keep on scrambling, and Glover never stops on the ground. Then the fifth round, which is wild, Glover rocks him right away, pulls guillotine, don't know why, worst IQ move I've ever seen in my life. But, yeah, and then, you know, gets rear naked choked by Yuri, 30 seconds left. Can't make this shit up, but it was awesome, but, yeah. And then Jamal Hill took on Thiago Santos, his last fight, his biggest test of his career. In the first round, he stalks forward and jabs, lands some teep to the body, and then he gets shot to the fence, but he's able to defend. He's able to pummel Hizzy over in the underhook. He backs out of range of straights, and he goes in for some jabs, but then he eats a hook by Thiago. And then in the second round, he stalks forward to some leg kicks and some jabs, but then he steps into a double, but then he gets right back up against the fence. And as long as he gets his back up against the fence, he's pretty much okay there. But then he has his arms up, and he jabs off of his hook. But then he steps in with the right hook, with some right hook counters whenever Thiago's coming in. Then in the third round, his kick gets caught and he gets doubled off the fence, but then he's right back up, and then he full-on sprawls on the mat. But then he kind of gives up his back from that position, though. But then he's able to just get right back up, and that's one thing about Jamal Hill. He's popping right back up. He gets that whizzer and knows he needs to be up against the fence. But then he breaks free, swings wild, and he gets clinched off of there. No worries, though. Then in the fourth round, he walks him down with some 1-2s, but he eats some hooks off of that. But then he lands a left hook off of one of Thiago's hooks that he missed, and then he lands a flurry and just kind of pushes him down, has the tie clinch, pushes him down. Half guard, TKO, ground and pound. TKO, then Thiago gets up. Jamal Hill is able to go around the back, lands a lot of shots from the back, kind of grabs the cross wrist, and just gets a TKO. Just kind of outworks him, and Thiago is very tired from all the wrestling he did. Wasn't like a clean knockout like we expected out of Jamal Hill, but great performance off of a tough veteran. Jamal Hill, minus 140. Glover Teixeira, plus 120. I don't know how this fight's going to go. I was going back and forth all day. I thought Jamal Hill might knock out Glover, but Glover took Yuri's best shots and was fine. Glover's 43 years old. Is this where his chin goes? Or is his chin going to be okay? Because if his chin's okay, I think he's going to beat Jamal Hill. But Jamal Hill, he's not as bad on the ground as everybody says he was. Like, Thiago Santos sure isn't a wrestler, but Jamal Hill has decent defense. I know Glover's a way better wrestler than Thiago Santos, but still, his technique's good. He's doing the right things. He's using whizzers. He's sprawling. He's getting up against the fence, trying to break free, putting his hips in. He's doing all the things you're supposed to do, and he knows he doesn't want to be there. The only difference is I think if Glover gets him down, Jamal's not going to be able to get off his back. But Jamal did a good job of not letting Thiago get him to his back. And then on the feet, I think Glover's a better striker than people will give him credit for. And Jamal, you know, he kind of swings a little sloppy sometimes. He's pretty calm. He doesn't just go right in for the power shots. He kind of jabs. So I think they might feel each other out on the feet a little bit. But I think you just got to go with plus money here, man. I think Glover's going to be able to hit him with a couple big shots to go for the single and get him down, kind of like he did to Yuri. But maybe his chin's gone and Jamal cracks him with the big shot and that's it. Who knows? But we're in Brazil. You want to see the 43-year-old get his belt back. Plus money. I'm going to go with Glover Teixeira. All right, everyone. Thanks for riding with me. I appreciate it. Should be a fun, awesome card. Can't wait. 15 whole fights. Definitely going to win some money. Check the Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all that stuff. Appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe, leave comments, ask me questions, give me advice. I appreciate it. Really appreciate all you guys watching me. And I'm doing my best here, and hopefully we get on a winning track. Let's see some upsets, let's see some violence, and let's see some profits. Go get them, everyone. Good luck.